What's happening, guys? Safety Liner C2 here. I was talking to Nishan a couple of weeks ago at this point, and he brought something up. We were looking at some buses either on Craigslist or on Public Surplus or somewhere where, we were just looking at buses, doing whatever, and he mentioned I had never seriously looked at getting a bus. Okay, now to an extent that is true. I have not found the perfect bus that I am going to go inspect and buy and do whatever the heck I'm going to do with it. But I have seriously considered a handful of them, and I'm going to tell you about them right in this video. Now, I've only actually seriously considered two of them, looked into them and did my research and actually okay, this is something that I really want to bid on. But let me tell you about a couple other ones that I was very interested in buying first. Now, obviously, I don't own a bus now, but yes, it is something I want to do in the future, eventually, once I find whatever bus that I want. And the reasons why I don't have a bus right now, I could go on in a whole different video about this, and maybe I just will. But long story short, I haven't found the right bus yet. And my only requirement for a bus, because I really don't have any emotional attachment or sentimental value to any of them at this point, is just that I want it to be unique. Now, all of these buses that I'm going to list are unique in their own ways, and let me tell you about them. Now, let me just get this out of the way. None of the pictures that I put on screen are mine unless I say so. I'm not trying to, get in trouble with anyone. They're not mine. I'm just using them just to show everyone. So the first bus that I really kind of wanted to get, well, I guess I did have a little sentimental value with it, was bus 544 from Sci-Fair ISD, a bus that I rode in 6th grade. Alright, so I'll look around and see if I can find any pictures of it. I dug around for a minute and couldn't find anything. But 544 was a 1990 Bluebird International, and I freaking loved that bus. It didn't have a stop sign. It had outward opening, manual door. It had a yellow roof. It was just so different from anything else that I rode. Now, unfortunately, that sold while I was in high school, so that wasn't really an option for me, except I would have loved to have had that bus, but I only rode it for 1 year, so I didn't have an extreme sentimental value compared to Nishan with 0312 or Adam with 681. But still, it's one that I really enjoyed, and that would have made a great first bus for me, but didn't work out, so I had to move on to something else. So after that, it was a few years before I actually found a couple other things that I was looking at once I moved out here into Arizona. I started looking probably around mid-2018 at stuff when some districts up in Phoenix listed a bunch of their stuff. And there were a couple things up there that I was interested in. We had some international CEs, which were beautifully spec'd. I believe they came from Mesa Unified School District, if I'm not mistaken. They had white roofs, they had streamers, tinted windows, luggage compartments overhead, DT466, and they were just 72 passenger buses. They were beautiful buses in my opinion. Those, as much as I wanted them, they weren't something that I seriously considered, but still would have been cool to look at them. Now, like I mentioned before, the uniqueness factor is something that really attracts me to the buses, and for those international CEs, it was really just the fact that the specs were just amazing on that bus, and I'll have to find a picture. Certainly I have a screenshot or something somewhere of them, or of similar buses, but man, they were just gorgeous. Now, moving on, something that I found a little more unique and something that I was even more interested in were some I think they were AmTran REs, but they might have been International REs. I don't remember what it was, but still, right around that era of late 90s, early 2000s RE. Now, on these AmTrans, I looked and they were AmTrans, but on these AmTrans, instead of having the overhead luggage racks, you had the underbody storage, which was unique. But the very, very unique thing about these AmTrans REs, and there were maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 of them, was that they didn't have a T444E or a DT466 in them. They had a DT530 in them. Now, I'm sure a couple of you are sitting there thinking, oh, Cameron, I've never heard of a DT530. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, I mean, let's be real. They weren't that common compared to DT466s and T444Es. Essentially, they were the same idea and same kind of layout of a DT466. I'm no engine expert, that's just what I've heard, and I'm just going to leave it at that before I start spitting out random stuff that I don't know what I'm talking about. So the DT530 was something that just, whoa, that, it's so cool, that's what I want, but, they just, it wasn't for me, and I think the thing with those was Noah obviously has an AmTran RE as well, and I was like, well, his is cool. Mine would be a little bit cooler because it has a cool engine, and the specs are just so much better than 66s. I'm not even going to try and deny that. But it was just, I don't know, there was just something holding me back, and I decided, I'm going to pass on that one. Now, funny enough, you can actually go over to BGA Bus Sales, their YouTube page, and they ended up buying a couple of these, so you can go find the videos on their channel if you're interested in seeing them. I'm not going to show any video just because I don't want to get in trouble with them, but they're definitely over there because I'm looking at my screen right now and it's on my screen. So, all right, so the last bus that I kind of considered happened in summer of 2019. It wasn't this one. I don't know why I considered it. It was just something different. It was a Midbus 3800, and why the heck would you want a Midbus 3800? I don't know. I just want something unique, So I believe they had wheelchair lifts on them. They were pretty small from, again, I'm pretty sure Mesa Unified School District. And it was just like, where the heck do you get these from now? Like, I don't know. So it was just, again, just something unique, something different that no other collector really has. And, I'll take one. Now, there were 2 of them. Both of them, I believe, ended up going to a used dealership up in Phoenix. And then they were sold individually from there. One of them I know is turned into a schoolie or is being worked on as a schoolie. The other one, I have no idea where it's at. So, wasn't really my thing. Just kind of something that's, different. All right, now I'm sure there were a couple more than that. I mean, let's be real. I'm constantly looking around trying to find, the perfect bus for me. And even if it doesn't happen for, a couple years, I'm always interested, and I'm sure there were a lot more on that list than I, couldn't remember. Those were just the first couple that came to mind and that I actually remember looking at. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and move on to buses that I seriously actually considered looking at, and there were 3 of them. So let's get into that. All right, so the first one I looked at was an International CE from that same district that I was talking about before that had the streamers on their CEs, but the difference with this one was it was a shorty. Now, of course, I would very much like to own a full-size bus, but, I'm in an urban area, and there's just, I don't have the advantage of, park it in the street or park it on my property or whatever that a lot of other collectors do. So, there are some buses for collectors that just have to be urban, and I thought, what the heck? This is a beautiful looking bus. It's perfect, and I could actually see myself driving this. Let me look into this. So it's a 2001 International CE. It is a wheelchair bus, which is okay with me. We had the fender turn signals. We had the streamer, white roof, AC, incandescent lights, all the bells and whistles that you could need. It was in really good condition. But the price just started going up and up and up and up and up to the point where it was like, you know what, this is too much money to spend on a bus. Now, let me quickly explain my philosophy with buying buses. If you go somewhere like Public Surplus or Gov Deals, most of those auctions usually start off around $500. And pretty much every collector that I know who has a bus has bought theirs for under $1,000. And, I don't even think this International CE went for, it maybe got up to like $1,500-$1,600. But at that point, it's like, there are so many other buses that I can get for so much cheaper. I could get 3, of X bus instead of just one International CE. So the price really does make a difference to me. I'm sure I'd be willing to pay a little bit more if it's in really good condition and all that. But once it started going past, $1,300 maybe, I don't remember. This was last year, back in 2019. Once it's hit over $1,300 or whatever, I was just like, it's not worth it. It's a nice looking bus, but it's not worth that much. So unfortunately, I decided to let someone else have that, and figured that's okay. There will be another bus for me. Now, there were actually 2 of these now that I'm thinking about it. One of them ended up at a bus dealership up in Phoenix, and then the other one, listen to this. My luck is just fantastic with these buses. So I'm going up to the California meetup back in 2019. I had a lot of fun there. I just did bus stuff for quite a while there, and I had a lot of fun. I hadn't even made it up to Phoenix. I was maybe 20 minutes into my trip. Driving on the highway. I'm going to have a good time at this meetup, whatever. I see a bus out in the distance. Oh, okay, well, let me look and see what that is. And as it comes closer to me, you know what bus it was? It was that same bus that I wanted to buy, going in the opposite direction. And I'm like, what the f***? Like, you know what? Fine. Whatever. I don't care at this point. Okay? I'm sitting there, I'm laughing about it. Whatever. As if that was bad enough. Like, 2 weeks later, when I'm searching around for buses, guess what I see on BGA's website? Guess what they have for sale on their website? This same bus. I'm like, what the heck? Like, why? Why did BGA have to go and outbid me on the bus? Now you can go over to their YouTube page. You can see the one. I'm not gonna show it just because I don't want to get in trouble and all that stuff. It's a sharp looking bus. But, like, what the heck? Why'd you steal my bus? So, that one, that was kind of, that was unfortunate, but okay, whatever. Wasn't meant for me. All right. Now, the last 2 buses that I have very seriously considered, that I did very seriously consider, I should say, were sent to me by John, and they were more local than the previous one, so that already had me interested. They were Bluebird International 3800s. Now, John sent these to me and said, you know what? This is exactly what you need. And when I saw the one that he recommended to me, I was like, yeah, this might just be exactly what I'm looking for. Like, I could see myself with this. So this one, it was a 1991 Bluebird International. It had a DTA 360. It had tinted windows. It had a streamer. It had a jackknife door. In addition, it's an Arizona bus, so it's rust-free. There, a little bit of paint fade, but that's okay. That's not a big deal. There was just something about it that, was like, this is a sharp-looking bus right here. But the one that caught my eye even more was from the same district and similarly spec'd, but instead, this one had no streamer on it, but it had a DT 408. And once I saw it had a 408, that was the one I wanted. I didn't care if it didn't have the streamer. I wanted the 408 instead. Now, just like the 530, the DT408 is essentially the same thing as the DT466, but there is a sound difference, and if you go up and search DT408 on YouTube, it sounds pretty freaking good. Like, that's a good sounding engine if you ask me. Now, like I said, there were a couple differences. It didn't have the streamer. I think this one was a 95. It was a little dirty on the inside, but nothing that can't be fixed with a little bit of love. But this is the one that I obsessed over for a week or so, maybe. I was all over, like, wanting this bus. But the thing that got me, and I really wish that it would have been different, because I could be showing you my bus right now, is that they wouldn't turn on the bus for you when you went to go inspect that. Like, what? Now, I understand if a district doesn't want the inspector to turn on the bus or the inspector to drive it, but if the people selling the bus aren't even going to turn it on or drive it, that's when it's like, you know what? I hope that it runs, but I'm not going to spend, X amount of money and then buy it and it doesn't even run, So I was like, there's no way that is going to happen, that I'm shelling out that money to buy it and it just doesn't even run. But otherwise, if that would have been different, that would have been my bus. Like, no, I'm not even kidding about it. I seriously would have been on that bus. But it's just that one thing that was just, it's a deal breaker. I got it. I don't care if I don't turn it on. As long as you turn it on for me, you move it forward 5 feet and back it up 5 feet, put your foot on the brake so I see that all that works. You can do it all you want. I don't even care. I don't have to do it. But you got to show me that it works. And there was nothing saying that it worked, which, was unfortunate, but oh well. Now, both of these buses, I think they ended up going for, I think like $1,500 or $1,600. And like I said, I was very, very, very interested in this bus. Would I have shelled out that money? I might have. Like I said, these are Arizona buses, so they're already in. They're essentially rust free. It's a little bit of paint fade. The uniqueness factor is there for me. The specs are just beautifully done. Like I said, if other people are getting their buses for less than $1,000 and I have no real sentimental value compared to it, it's probably better in the long run that I didn't just buy it. So, it is what it is. Oh, now, of course, that's not the end of the story. Back in June, I had to travel out to California. My grandma's selling some property up there, and she asked me and my brother to come help her move some stuff out of there so we could get the house ready to sell and blah, blah, blah. So, I spent a couple days up there doing that. And as we're driving back, I can't even make this up. As we get into Arizona, we've maybe been in the state maybe an hour. I'm sitting there, I'm driving, just ready to be home. Oh, only a couple more hours to drive. And see some buses out in the distance. I see 2 buses out in the distance. Okay, I'm interested. Okay, what do we got? What district does this serve? I look over, I see them approach. I see that they're Bluebird 3800s. They both had white roofs. I look over, and I see one of them was number 33, and the other one said Florence Unified School District. And they were the same buses that I looked at. What is it with me? Like, literally, my hopes and dreams just fly right past me at 65 miles per hour down the other side of the highway. as if I see these and I'm like, what? Like, why? No, I wanted those buses, but they weren't supposed to run. Like, you said we can't turn them on, so someone unknowingly bid, and they weren't even sure if the bus ran. And they, they ended up winning the bet. And I was so mad at that moment in time and for the rest of the drive home, because I was like, come on, like, yeah, so rightfully so, because that was the second time that happened. I was not happy. Oh, Cameron, well, at least you didn't see the bus on BGA bus sales. Well, yeah, I figured it wasn't going to go on BGA bus sales because it was heading towards California. I thought that it was going to end up being scrapped or turned into a schoolie. This schoolie was my main thing that I figured it was going into, since it was going into California. But, of course, the story still doesn't end there. I am over here. I'm searching Craigslist this time. I'm searching Craigslist. I started here in Arizona. I search Phoenix. I move over to San Diego, Los Angeles. I go over into Nevada to Las Vegas, San Francisco. And then I'm starting to move up into Oregon, into Portland. And what do you know? What else do I see but the 2 same buses on there for like triple the price that someone paid for them? This one, I was talking to people at the time. I'm searching around. It's all quiet in there. And I see this bus on there because the title is DT408 Bluebird School Bus. And I'm like, oh, I was just looking at one of those last month. Let me click on it. Oh, wait, it's the same. It is the same exact bus. What is it with my luck finding all the buses that I want and dealerships driving past me? Like, why? What the heck? Now, my favorite part of the dealership, I started reading up on this, and they provided, the dealership provided more pictures than the district that was selling them did. So, I was looking around at the other pictures, and I was reading the ad, and this is just fantastic. Hippies, gypsies, and flower children automatically receive a $500 discount on any bus in inventory that does not already have that discount applied. This bus already has it applied, but whatever. If that bus didn't have it applied, and it wasn't going for triple whatever it's sold for, more than triple, let's be real, I don't care how stupid I would look, I would dress up as a hippie and go in there so I can get my $500 discount on a bus. I mean, come on, let's be real here. I'd do it. And there you go. Those are the buses that I've seriously considered looking at. Probably didn't need them for one reason or another. I'm still really mad that I saw both of the buses that I very, very, very seriously considered buying just drive right past me, and I will be for a very long time, I'm sure. But everything works out for a reason. Whenever I do get a bus, it's going to be something that I'm confident about. I do want a bus, but just it's going to happen whenever it happens, even if it's not this year, next year, or 5 years from now. I just whenever the time comes, I'll get it, and I'll know it's the right time when it happens. I'm constantly looking, even if I don't end up winning anything, I am looking around, and I do have money set aside so that I can eventually buy a bus, and I'm excited for whenever that time comes. So that's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll let you know whenever I do get a bus, but until then, I'll just continue to make videos like this. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Always do appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe right down here. It's a magical red button that says you are now subscribed to Safety Liner C2. Make sure you comment up here, down here, over here, or over here. I don't know where they put it, down here where they put it. Make sure you also give this video a thumbs up, or my uncle, who is probably watching this on his TV right now in his living room, is gonna say something rude to you, because, you know, he does that. That's just him, but he's cool. Hey, hope you guys are having fun watching this, but anyways, make sure you also share this video with a friend. Show it to your mom, show it to your dad, show it to a guy on a random street. I don't care, don't let anything happen to you. So, hey guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Thanks for watching.